Good morning, UBBOptionMillionaires.com. Welcome to Tuesday, February 24, 2015. Stock futures are flat to start the trading session. I'm going to start with Apple here because it's breaking out to new all-time record highs. And I talked about this stock numerous times back in 2013 when it was at its lows in May of 2013. I said the stock was going to break out to record highs via video on StockTwits, and I got a lot of negative feedback there. But here we are. And I talked about also later on that year, this being the third leg of a breakout that started in 2000. So we'll pull back from a long-term chart perspective and started about just after the internet bubble popped in 2000, 2003. The rally started up. We had our first leg up to the financial crisis, 2009. Also remember Steve Jobs first announced he was really sick back then. Then we had our second leg going from that time, the financial crisis, up to September of 2012. And then in May of 2013, we finally bottomed. But at the same time, in May of 2013, at this bottom, so many bloggers and pundits were talking about how this, the growth was done, there was no innovation coming, and that it was just going to be mired like a Microsoft. Meaning it wasn't going to go anywhere too quickly, but it's done the exact opposite. The stock has rallied significantly, more than doubled since that time, and it's breaking out. The question is, where does it stop? I've seen a lot of charts and ideas posted that we're getting towards a September 2012 type top, that we're going to pull back. And we'll see. I think one of the things that are fueling not only Apple, but stocks around the globe, not only central bank intervention and low interest rates, but stock buybacks by the corporations themselves. They're buying back their own stock, creating less supply out there. Steady demand is increasing the price per share, and also less stock out there makes their earnings per share look rosier. Let's look at this morning. It's S&P 500 futures. Stock futures had a nice run up on Friday. The Greece news broke out, and we're consolidating. And if you look back, man, it was, to me, we're setting up for a week we saw like we saw last week, where the market kind of moves higher as it did last week and then consolidates. So here we are. We have the big move higher, and we're going to see moves to the upside and the downside like we did last week. But they're going to be somewhat muted, and we're going to end the week just a little bit higher. And that seems to be the theme here in 2015. Again, I still think this is the year of the opportunity to get into individual names. So we might have a consolidation phase here, but stocks like Apple, Google's really sold off, and it might be a good opportunity there. I'll bring that chart up in a minute. Crude oil is off its lows this morning. OTO was down significantly to start the week. You can see it's been pulling back really since the middle of last week. Had a nice bounce on Thursday into Friday, and it's pulling back again. But now we're getting a bounce, and maybe we'll get a little bit more meaningful correction of this sell-off up to about 50 on crude oil before continuing to sell off. I'm very bearish on this long term. I think it's going to break under 40, especially if we get the U.S. dollar continue to rally. You see, this is the big sell-off we saw from the start of June last year, when everybody thought crude oil was going to go to 160. It's done the exact opposite, a very methodical sell-off. Finally starting to get a bounce, but to me this is more of a bear flag, a nice oversold bounce, and we're going to see the move back under the 44.38 level. So let's look at gold. Last night out, that investigation's being done as far as manipulation of precious metal prices. Go figure. And you see gold futures, this is obviously manipulated. This is all manipulated because that's just the only reason why these precious metal prices fall is via the big bank manipulation. And as you can see, we're down almost 0.2% this morning. After the investigation is announced, you would imagine the prices go the exact opposite. They'd be like, oh my goodness, they found us. We've been manipulating prices. Stop. So apparently they've stopped manipulating prices, and they're still falling. So I don't know. Somebody's got... All right, let me just move on. But you can see, let's pull up a long-term chart of GLD, which I like is bumping right up against, and we get down to about the 112.50 level. So I think further downside is on the way. A couple more charts here. How about the VIX? Was beaten down, and you can see we've had these spikes over the last year, but each of the spikes we get sold off, and if you draw a trend line across here, we are now pulling back, and it looks like we're headed to about at least a $12 range where we'll find some support, which will mean higher stock prices. So let's look at the S&P 500 breaking out of a long-term consolidation phase here after the October sell-off. We have the December sell-off. We have the start of the year sell-off, but we've been consolidating within this channel, and now we're breaking out, and it looks like we're just going to hit And I talked about this before the year even started. See this candle here? The unexplainable spike to the upside late in the trading session in the middle of December. I think that we're going to hit that. Was it 212.97, something like that? Same. Let's go to the NASDAQ. Look at this, breaking out a beautiful bullish formation. And even last year at the Tech Rec of 2014, I was talking about this break leading to higher prices. Oh, indeed it has. And we've had support here at the $100 level. Has worked as a great springboard for higher prices. And I think it's, 9 straight days in a row. And you look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 licks to get to the all-time high. Let's move to the IWM. The small caps are also working out well. If you look at the 1-year chart, but you pull back from a longer term here, we have this beautiful, let me pull the studies off. There we go. And you can see this consolidation here between support and resistance finally breaking out. And we look like we're flagging here. We're going to make even new higher highs, if that's even higherly, I don't know. Trying to be funny, but it doesn't work. Let's look at Home Depot, which, speaking of higher highs, earnings report out this morning. Home Depot is up over 116. It was briefly. Wow, it's pulling. But what happened? Oh, that's the close. Let's pull in. There we go. Oh, up over 116. Whew, awesome. I think the key behind the earnings report, if you look at Home Depot, a 16 billion. Oh no, is it 18? It's $18 billion over the next year authorized. 4.5 billion per quarter. So that's just adding more buying pressure to a shrinking supply of stock. It's like having one pallet left of silicone caulk and everybody's buying it at the same time. Home Depot is even buying it. Could you imagine that? It's like you go to Home Depot and the company itself is buying its own products. That's essentially what's happening with the stock buyback, right? You go buy a Home Depot stock and the company itself is buying it. Like, my goodness, can I get the better price? So that's Home Depot earnings report. We have First Solar up this morning. They have earnings after the bell, I believe, today. Looking to get back up to the underside of this long-term trend line at 70. Sam Adams, Boston Brewery. Don't know why the symbol is not recognized. We got WebMD. Sam Adams got Boston Brewery has earnings report. This is WebMD looking strong here and look for a break up back over 50. Actually, if it gets over 50, it does not break over 52. That'd be a nice little head and shoulders pattern possibly. But earnings report there. Hewlett Packard. Remember that was being left for dead when it was about $10. Look at its continuation. You draw a trend line across. Looks bullish up to over the $41 level. Now let's bring up Google. They're talking about that one. Look at this. We're in this channel here. 550 continues to act as resistance here, but we have this nice W bottom forming here back at the end of 2014, start of 2015. I'm looking for a move to the upside on Google, and again, it's one of the stocks. FEYE, Twitter have worked out great. Coach, COH, has worked out great, and Google has been working out great. It's been pulling back, but I think this is one that's going to head over $600. It's going to happen in a short period of time. It's going to make the out-of-the-money call options a lot of money. Back in about 2.5 years ago, Google made a move up. The options were going for 25 cents on the 520 calls. This is previous to the spinoff, and the stock was at $4.70, and the options went from 20 cents to $25. And I think that's the type of move that we're going to see in the short term for Google. All right, UPB, OptionMillionaires.com. Everyone have a great trading session. Hop in the chat room. We had some great trades yesterday at OptionMillionaires.com. I'll see you there. And let's see what Yellen comes out with today. Everybody talks about this. She's going to sit down in front of Congress. What's she going to say? Come on. Asset prices are a little overdone, but the biotech, we talked about biotech. Somebody posted that chart up. It was great. She talked down biotech and social media, especially biotech. Wow. Has been doing just so good ever since. So I don't know if she's going to be bullish on it, or we'll see what happens. Could be interesting. Get your popcorn. All right, everyone, I'll see you in the chat room. Goodbye.